Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. This is your match preview for Copenhagen versus Manchester United in the Champions League. This is a massive game for United. If we're going to want to get out of the group stages, we're going to need a good performance. Plenty to talk about. Please like and subscribe. Let's get right into it. Now, first we're going to talk about key areas and key men in them areas as well. Obviously, the main, I suppose, position that we're looking at the moment, that's kind of up in the air on who's going to play there or not, is the left-back position. Now, obviously, we had Reguilón has come back from injury. He played, then he didn't play on the weekend against Fulham. Obviously, Delors played there at left-back. Now, look, Delors is quite capable and he's in the Premier League Team of the Week this week on the back of a good performance. But I am probably old-fashioned where I would like to see a proper left-back play at left-back. You know, Delors is right-footed. Now, look, we had Dennis Irwin play at left-back for the bones of, over 10 years, you would have to say, and one of the greatest left-backs to ever play in the Premier League. But I would like to see Reguilón come back in. I think it balances out the team a little bit more. But again, I can understand if Delors does come or does stay in the team. I suppose a positive is that either selection that Ten Hag goes for, we do have a natural fullback there. It's just whether he wants to go with a right footer at left back or a left footer. Look, I think Reguilón had a really good start to his Manchester United career. Obviously, it is going to probably be a very short Manchester United career because he's on loan. But I think he did kind of cement that place before he got injured. He was playing really well. I think he should come back into the team. I think it would balance out the team a lot more. We made the point a few weeks back, is one of the big factors that maybe Marcus Rashford is not playing well this season is because there hasn't been a natural left full behind him. We see last season how well him and Luke Shaw linked up together. So I would like to see a left footer come back in on that left back area. Another area is obviously central midfield, and Bruno Fernandes is the main talking point in central midfield the last maybe week or so. Obviously, we heard the reports from Roy Keane saying that he didn't think Bruno Fernandes was captain material, and obviously Bruno went out and he played a really good game. I think he was in the Premier League Team of the Week as well, and obviously he got the winning goal. Look, Bruno Fernandes can be very frustrating at times, but I think he's the best option we have to be our captain. I think he does lead by example the majority of the time. There are occasions when things go wrong where he can be quite petulant, and obviously the Man City game was a major negative on his CV, you would have to say. But I think 95% of the time I think he does lead by example. He works really hard. And he's had, I think, 160 goal contributions in 200 games for Manchester United, which is absolutely phenomenal stats, you would have to say. So, look, obviously Bruno Fernandes is going to be, coming into this game full of confidence. So let's hope he can continue that, and let's hope Manchester United can get the job done. Now, next up, we're going to talk, obviously, about Erik Ten Hag. And we spoke last week that he had to get a lot of things right on the back of a poor Manchester United performance in the derby. And I have to say, I really, really like the way Erik Ten Hag has conducted himself over the last couple of weeks. He hasn't made any excuses on the back of poor performances. He's been very determined in his output and what he's saying. Look, my players are fighters. I'm a fighter. We're going to turn this around. I've really, really liked what I've seen from him. He's not making any excuses, unlike another manager that we've seen in the past couple of days, Arteta. And, I'm liking that from Ten Hag. I've said it all the time that he deserves time to build this squad and, give it an identity that he wants to give it. And I think he is the right man to do that. Again, team selection and in-game management has to be spot on over the next few games. We have a favourable run of games, albeit they're not easy, but you're going into games like, I think, is it Luton we've got Everton, obviously Copenhagen, they're a good team. You don't want to discount them either. So again, team selection and in-game management is very important. We've seen him make, I think, 6 halftime substitutions this year already. Now, you could look at it two ways. Either one, he's not afraid to make early calls and make decisions, Or you could look at it negatively and say, well, he hasn't got his team selection right because he's going to have to make these changes so early. No manager wants to make changes that early. So I think there's a bit of both there. If he can get his team selection right and not have to make these changes at half time, and then maybe on the 60-minute mark, we know he likes to make changes around that time, make the right calls, I think it will instantly benefit the team. But look, I am under no means, criticising Erik ten Hag in the long term. I think he's the man for the job. I think he needs to be given time. And I think he will be given the time, especially with all of this nonsense going on in the background about the club, and Jim Radcliffe coming in. I think they'll stick with him, and I hope they do so. But, like I said, he is going to have to continue to get the majority of his decisions right, or the criticism is going to continue to fall on him. Now, here's my predicted 11 for the game against Copenhagen. And look, there can be certain, I suppose, aspects of this starting 11 that may be different on the night. This is what I would like to see, in fairness, and we'll put it up on the screen here. So, obviously, Andre Onana keeps his place in goal. He's really turned the corner at United, been really happy with him lately. Back four, I would like to see, I'm going to go with Wan-Bissaka, Varane. I think the reason for Varane coming in there, I think he has to come in to give Johnny Evans a rest. I think he's played 3 games in a row now, Johnny Evans. Harry Maguire, of course, keeps his place. He's been playing really well. And I'd like to see Reguilon come in at left back for the reasons I mentioned previously. And that is a bit harsh on Delort because he played well on the weekend, and I wouldn't be disappointed if it was Delort ahead of Reguilon either, but I think having a natural left back there is probably going to benefit us more. In midfield then, it's going to be Amrabat, McTominay and Bruno Fernandes for me. I think it just gives us more legs. I think Eriksen, as really good as Eriksen is going forward, he just lacks the physicality and the defensive side to his game. And I think we're going to need this away from home in Europe. I mean, Copenhagen are a neat and tidy team. And, I think we're going to need legs in there more than that. And I think Scott McTominay had a decent game against Fulham on the weekend. Look, we know his shortcomings and he's not Manchester United's long-term solution. But I think if we can play him and Amrabat together, and allow Bruno to play in that number 10 role and create, I think it will benefit us an awful lot more. I'm going to bring in Mason Mount on the right-hand side. I think it is an option for Manchester United to create more, to get balls into the box for Rasmus Højlund. We've said that Rasmus Højlund is working off of scraps and he's not getting the supply that he needs because the likes of Rashford and Garnacho and Antony are so direct. We all know about the story of, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Cristiano Ronaldo falling out at Ronaldo's early days at United because he was doing these flicks and tricks and taking on defenders, and Van Nistelrooy was making these runs and not receiving the ball, and they had a falling out over it. I don't know when you're going to cross it, he was basically saying. And I think Højlund is suffering from a little bit of that as well. I think bringing in Mason Mount on that right-hand side gives us that bit of creativity from wide where he can just get his head up and instantly look for Rasmus Højlund, because he is a good creative player. And he's not a very direct player when he does play. He doesn't look to, run at fullbacks and, try and get in and get a shot himself. So I think for that reason, it would benefit Højlund a lot more. I think Rashford is going to come in on that left-hand side. I don't see why Erik ten Hag would bring any more, I suppose, media spotlight on it. We've heard, that all the nonsense that, he wasn't injured at all against Fulham, and that, it was punishment to... It was to punish Rashford over going out after the Manchester derby. Well, if that was the case, why did Rashford come on 3 days before that against Newcastle? I think it's nonsense. So I think Rashford is going to come back in, and then Rasmus Højlund plays up front, of course. Anthony Martial offered us nothing really when he came on the other day. So that's my starting 11, guys. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Would you change anything? Do you think it will be different? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, score prediction. Look, score prediction for Manchester United is really difficult this year. There hasn't been United haven't ran away with any game, and I think it's going to be quite similar. Away from home in Europe is never an easy task, regardless of what the opposition is like. And we know after the first game that Copenhagen are a neat and tidy team. They really are. They're well able to play. They transition quite well. And I think it's going to be the sort of game that Manchester United are really going to have to concentrate for. And they're going to have to concentrate for 90 minutes. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win to Manchester United. I don't think it's going to be a runaway game. Of course, I would like to see more goals. I would love to see a 3-4-0 win. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I do think this starting 11 that we have up on the screen is capable of getting goals. But again, we have to get the supply right to our forward players. Our forward players are not scoring goals this season, and that has to be corrected. So for that reason, it's going to be a 1-0 win prediction from me. Again, let me know your score predictions in the comment section below. We are going to be live for the game, guys, tomorrow night, so make sure tonight if you're watching it on Wednesday, so make sure you are tuning in. If you're new to the channel, do hit the subscribe button, ring the bell notification as well, so anytime we do go live or there is any new content, you get notified straight away. Hope to see you for the game. Thanks for watching. Chat to you in a bit.